today I want to talk to you about past lives and past life regression. Now, for a lot of people, this is a little bit of a grey area because it goes beyond everyone's beliefs and what most people think are possible. But I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. Now, don't get me wrong, at the end of the day, this is my beliefs. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but based on the experiences I've had and the conversations I've had with people as well, and the information that I've been lucky enough to receive, I can make a fairly good judgment to say, in my reality, this is the truth. So I'm going to go for that. Like I said though, this is purely a belief at the end of the day, as no one really knows anything for sure. So I'll start by saying that. So, past lives. What is the significance of them? Why are they important? Well, for a lot of people, they hear past lives and they purely just want to know. They want to know what it is that they've either done before, they want to know what it is they've been before, what, was I a human, was I a plant, was I an animal, what was the experience like that? And a lot of the times people get into these questions because they want to escape from reality when they start to hear about this, and they start to hear about past lives. However, the main use of stuff like past life regression is heal. And healing traumas from past lives that we don't realise that we've carried on. Because if you go throughout this entire life, let's say there's something that's bothering you right now, you don't speak to anyone about it, and it's eating you up from the inside out. If you go through your entire life and you never do anything about that, you never deal with it, you never come to terms with it, and you never move on from it, it's still there. And your soul still carries that throughout and into the next life. In your next lifetime, you're not going to remember why you feel this way and why you have this emotion within you that doesn't seem to shift. But that's what past life regression allows you to do. It allows you to go back, see these significant moments within your life, deal with them, and release the emotional attachment, and cut the cords to that point in your existence. Now, are past lives really past lives? I don't think they are. I think what past lives are parallel lives. And the reason for that is through my experience. So, I've done several past life regressions, and the actual thing I've done is quantum hypnosis healing therapy. I've done that with a lovely lady called Abiel, and she's been doing it for a fair few years now, and everyone's different. Everyone comes to her with different reasons for wanting to do it, but on the whole, it's because they've been guided to do it. Most people who get to the stage where they're dealing with past life stuff usually means that they've sat and dealt with most of the stuff in their present life that's an issue, and they still have something there that they can't figure out what it is. And at that point, they go down the kind of past life route. When I say past life, they goes, oh, so that means I'm going to have other lives to come. I'm like, well, yes, more than likely. Can you go and look at these? You can. You can go and you can look at lives to come in the future and lives that have happened. However, it's much different trying to look at something that isn't set in stone yet, because timelines shift. There's a lot of different factors that come into play, and if you go and look at something from a life that's not happened, future, even though I think it is happening, it's happening right now, you just haven't experienced it yet, and you haven't observed it yet. You're observing it from a different point of view, in a different energy, in a different space. But I think it's still the same time. I think everything happens within the present moment, and that's why I say that. Now, I think what I'll get straight into is my experiences with past lives, because I have a lot of stories, and not stories, but it is stories. I have a lot of stories of the past lives that I've been through, and I'm very fortunate that because they are so real when I experience them, I feel it, I hear it, I smell where I am. But it's the emotion that's the strongest part. when you go through these processes. So what happens when you go to a quantum hypnosis healing therapy session, or QHHT for short, which I'll probably refer to it as from now on just for the sake of it. What happens when you go to one of these? Well, you basically get put into, so it starts off, you go into it with questions. The reason for this is not actually for the past lives, it's for the second part of quantum QHHT, which is a conversation with your higher self, and it's a very clear conversation with your higher self. I'll get into that a little bit later on. But I got asked to write 20 questions down, so I did just, well, not 20, there was no limit on how many questions I could write, but I wrote about 20. And then I would show up and we go from there. So I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't the first time I was going in. And I was very hesitant, and I was very much like, yeah, alright, am I really about to go and experience some past lives? Or is it just going to be my imagination? And my mind just kept running. And this is before I'd learned a lot of things I've learned today. And I was very skeptical of it, as I think most people will be. And most people probably will be listening to me speaking about this. I didn't know what to expect. But I was excited because my soul knew, and I knew, that I was going to get something really beneficial from this experience. Otherwise I wouldn't have been doing it. If I wasn't meant to be doing it, then I wouldn't be doing it. I knew no matter what, I was going to take something really, really beneficial from the experience. And I did just that. I took something extremely meaningful. Now, within my first quantum entanglement, I keep saying quantum entanglement healing. It's not quantum entanglement healing, it's QHHT. Within my QHHT session, my first one, I experienced 4 lives. And I'm not going to go into detail on all of them, but I will for 2. And I'll also tell you the lessons and the stuff in which these lives taught me, and also the emotional release that I got from these lives. Now, you could benefit in a number of different ways from doing one of these sessions, and it's different for everyone. You will take what you need to take from it. For me, the first, or not, it wasn't the first, I'm not going to fire these in order, but the first life that I experienced, I'll set the picture for you. So you get laid down on a bed, a bit like a massage table. I'm sure different people who practice this all do it differently to some extent, but it's going to be roughly the same process. I got sat on a table, and I actually have all these recorded as well as audio recordings. So if anyone's really interested in actually hearing these and hearing them raw, the audio quality is not great, but I'm more than happy to post them. I do not mind at all. They're definitely interesting to listen to. So you get fired on a bed, and then you get put into a hypnosis state. So it's like a really deep meditation, and I'm in the room, like I'm still aware of the noise, like my eyes are shut, I'm still aware of the noise in the room, and Abiel's sat to my left and she's talking to me. And she's, going through her processes of getting me into this really, really deep, relaxed state. So I go through all that process, and I'm in that state, and I'm sat there, or lying there rather. And she starts to say this little phrase. She says, "You're in the clouds. You're floating. You're free. You can go to any space and time. You're completely free. And when I finish counting down from 5, you will be exactly where you need to be, in the exact lifetime you need to be in, for your greatest and highest good." She counts down from 5, and boom, it is pitch black. I'm still really hesitant. I don't know. But I now start to get these images it's almost like you're in a dream. However, I'm still hearing her voice asking me questions. I'm still seeing cars pass. I'm still hearing cars pass outside. So I'm in the room, but I'm also not. I'm somewhere very different. And what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing, and also what I was smelling at times, were not from in that room. They're from my past lives. So that's how I experienced them. Now, some people experience it only as visualization and through dream state. Some people experience it purely just through energy and the way it feels. And they're able to make out objects and they're able to make out where they are based off of how it feels. Because each place has an energy signature and it's going to feel differently, and your soul can recognize that. So I get put into it. I'm in this deep meditative state, and she goes, okay, where are you? What's around you? And it's pitch black, and I'm looking around. I'm trying to figure out. She keeps asking me questions, and it's just small questions to break you into it. So what are you wearing? What's around you? What can you hear? What can you see? Very, very basic questions. So you start to put these pieces of the puzzle together, and as you get into it more, and you get comfortable with trusting what it is that you're actually seeing, and just going with the first thing that is that's there, and you don't sit and try and break it down. You just say what you see. So as I start to get into it more and more, I'm walking in, and I'm in a dark room. I'm definitely inside, I know that much. I start to look around me and I see this bright light coming from just the corner of the room. And I'm intrigued, so I walk towards it. And it's a bookshelf. And it's a book. It's one book, it's glowing. It's glowing really brightly, like beautiful white light is coming from this book. And the book closed, it's not even open yet. So she's asking me more and more questions about it. What does this book mean to you? Does it have importance? And I knew that this book was extremely important. I knew that this book had great, great power and meaning, and the information that was held within the book was even more important. Now, to set the stage, this, and I don't know for certain, but this was in Egypt, I'm pretty sure, and it was well over 5,000 years ago. This was a long time ago. It was before the world really started to get corrupted in the way that it is now. Everything was, what's the word I want to use? Divine, I guess, is the best word for it. You know, it really was. There were still the problems and there's still the challenges, but the vast majority of the world operated from a place of love. Whereas today, the vast majority of the place of the world operate from a place of fear. Is that going to be the case forever? No. Within my lifetime anyway, that will completely flip its head and tail. And it already is flipping. Each day people are trying to constantly improve themselves and improve in all aspects of their life. So, I'm walking into this room, there's a book shining bright light at me. I walk over to it and I grab it and I go, wow, I was really drawn to this and the energy of the book. The second I grabbed it, the second I touched it, I had this tingling feeling, and I actually felt this all up my arm, the entire way up the length of my arm. And it was so intense that I could feel it as I was lying there, my arm was going tingling. So I pick up the book and I open it, and the pages are blank. There's not a word on the page, but it is just divine white light, like the purest form of white light you can imagine. It's just shining out of this book, and it lights up the entire room, and I'm inside a temple. Now, I know this book's really important, and I have to take it back to my people. Who my people are, I don't know at this point, but I know I have to take it back to my people, and I know if the wrong people get this book, that it can be very dangerous, because the knowledge and understanding that's in this book can affect more than I was able to comprehend in that moment. So as I pick up this book and I open the book and I'm looking at it, I get all this information, all this understanding about so many different things just flood into me. And everything that is in that book now, from page 1 to the very last page, I have everything in complete crystal clear understanding within me. And I go, okay, nice. And I knew exactly what I had to do now. It's like a light bulb flipped in my head and I went, okay. And I knew exactly what I was doing, where I was going. And the fact that I was being followed as well. So I turn around and the entrance to the temple is in front of me, and outside I can see the desert outside. And it's beautiful, it's clear as day. And I walk out towards it, but as I'm walking out, I'm being really, really cautious and really careful. Because I know, I had this feeling that someone was watching me. And not someone that was there for my greatest and highest good, someone that was there to try and get this book. And I knew they could not have it. There was no chance I was letting this book get them. And I was in at this point, I'm no longer, like, I'm still getting asked questions, but I'm no longer in that room at all. I'm fully in the body of this avatar. So as I walk outside, then I'm able to see who I am. I'm able to look down and go, all right, nice, that's what I'm wearing. This is the body I'm in. I look down and I go, okay, so I've got sandals on, I'm wearing gold chest plates, and they've got these beautiful engravings all over them. And I've got like a skirt almost, one of the ones that a bit like the kind of, it's like the Roman type skirts, but they had like the slits down the side, and it would kind of just sit. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm trying to picture. I don't know if you have any clue what I'm talking about, but anyhow. So I'm wearing this, and I'm dressed up for battle. I'm clearly ready to go. And I have a sword on my left hand side. As I walk out, I go, something's a bit weird. I look down and I'm missing one of my arms. So I tell Abiel this and I go, I'm missing my left arm. My apologies. Earlier on I picked up the book on my right, not my left. Wait, no, is that right? Was it my left arm? No, I lie. I did get it right the first time. I picked up the book on my left. I'm missing my right arm. The reason for this is that, and so she goes, well, how are you missing? She asked me, how come you don't have a left arm? And I get a little flashback to even earlier on in that life, in that moment. And what I'd done is I had a shield on my arm, and someone who I loved very, very much was next to me, and someone was swinging a sword towards them. So I put my hand out with my shield on my arm, and obviously it's connected here and here. And my arm got sliced clean off right here. So that's how I ended up not having an arm. So I'm like, okay, nice. So I'm looking around, and I also have a horse that's with me, because I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I think it would probably be a bit of a stretch for me to walk back to where I need to go. So I'm looking around, I look into the distance before I get on my horse. I'm looking into the distance, and it must have been, if I was to guess, because it's in the middle of the desert and it's just flat open land, so you can see for a really long distance. And if I was to guess, I would say about 3-4 miles, maybe a bit more away from me. Just to my left, as I come out, there's thousands, and I do mean thousands, of beings coming towards me. Some of them are human, some of them aren't. There's a wide range. And they want one thing. They want the book that I have in my hand. And I know they want it. And I'm not having it. I'm just not having it. So I get on my horse, and I start to ride back in. My horse is beautiful, jet black horse, massive, like big stallion of a horse, really, really big thing. I got on that. We start to ride back into the village. So as I'm riding back into the village, Abiel's asking me questions. She's going, so do the village people know what you're away to do? Do they know about the book? And asking all these questions. Some of them do and some of them don't. Is the easiest way I could put it to her. Some people know what we're trying to do and some people don't know. At this point, I'm starting to get a bit of an understanding about who I am. get an understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now the reason for this, and the reason I had to go get that book, is because we knew that the world was going to come under attack, and that people and beings were coming to try and steal the energy of people. Now, if you've ever watched The Matrix, which I'm sure 95% of people have, The Matrix does it through robots and AI, and that the AI are coming to try and steal our energy, and that's what they're here to do. That is what is happening, which is a lot to take in. It really is for most people, but that is what's happening in the world today. You have these low frequency beings who are coming in, and they're draining the shit out of everyone's energy. That's why everything you see is so negative, because they can only attach to one thing, and that is fear. And that's how you have Neo in the Matrix going, if you believe and you're not afraid, then he's able to jump from one building to another. It's the same thing. If you're not afraid, then they can't do anything to you. If you do not have fear in your life, they have no effect on you. They cannot do a thing. And if you operate from a place of love, well then they're destroyed in that sense. Anyway, sidetracked there. But that was the point. We knew that these beings were coming to try and, in the best way to put it, fuck up our planet. And the information in the book allowed us to set a plan in motion to make sure this didn't happen. Now, we knew that this plan, we weren't going to be able to solve this problem in a couple of days or a couple of weeks or even a couple of years, but rather thousands of years. And I fully believe, and I might be wrong in this, but I fully believe that this lifetime that I'm in now is this plan coming to fruition and coming around as a whole. And we all agreed in that lifetime that we would come back, all of us would come back into this life and deal with it. Now, when I say all of us, I'm talking of a group of about 140 of us. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why there's 140 of us. I'm sure it's much, much, much larger. But this is the group that I was working with in that life. And we all agreed that we would come back together, all of us, in this life to finalise the plan that we'd set in place. And that was to bring everyone back to love. Which, I guess to an extent, is sort of kind of why I'm doing this. Now, people will hear this and they'll go, and you'll say whatever you want, you'll judge whatever you want, you'll say, oh, he's deluded. That's probably the most common one I'm going to get. And if you want to believe that, then by all means, please do. Please do. Because if you sat here and took everything I said for face value and 100% believe me, then I'd be concerned. But like I said, these are purely just my beliefs. So I'm riding back into this town. As I'm riding back, and I get shot with an arrow, a bow and arrow. And it goes right through my shoulder. But I keep going anyway because I know I can't stop. And I get back to where I need to be. And it's a massive Colosseum building. And in the building, so this building is surrounded by what I see as a massive force field. And it surrounds the building in entirety. Now the reason that I know, for me, that I'm not just making that up with this imagination is that I'm seeing things that I know I can't imagine. Like I can't explain it because it's an experience and it's the feeling and the emotion behind it as well. But I know as I'm going through this, I can't make this stuff up. Like I can't make up what I'm seeing because the level of detail is so incredible. It's beyond any dream I've ever had. It's literally as if it's real life and I'm there and I'm experiencing it. So I get back to this big Colosseum that's surrounded by this force field, and outside of this force field, all around it, and all around the Colosseum, there's people fighting. and they're trying to defend us. Now, no one can walk through this force field because it only allows in people with the purest of intention. That's how it works. It works off energy and intention. So if your energy is positive and you're generally there to help and to do something positive, then you can walk straight through and it doesn't exist in that sense for you. But anyone that's trying to come at you with negative energy and was trying to cause chaos, so to say, could not walk in. It was never going to happen. It's literally impossible. And it's the same way when you hear people talk about, you know, like burning sage to keep away whatever. It's the same idea. You know, they're putting the intention out into the room that they're putting the intention out into their space and their area that only positive energy can come into them. It's the same thing but on a much larger scale. That's what this was. So I walk into this room and there's a big table, and on the table there's like this massive it's like a 3D map of the world. It's like the kind of best way I can put it, but it's flat on the table. So a bit like how you get like a book and a map and a book rather. It's like that on the table, but all the mountains and stuff have elevation and they're like raised and low and stuff. And there's 12 of us all sitting at this table. So I walk in and I put the book on the table. And I sit down and we're all just talking about what we need to do. And we're finalising all the details of our plan. Then, all of a sudden, I look down and I'm looking at the table from above. And I'm looking at myself sitting at the table, and I'm a female in this life. And I'm looking around the table, and in the corner there's a little boy standing in the corner. He's not allowed to be at the table, but he can be in the room. I don't know why, but that was for some reason that stuck out to a sore thumb, like anything. Stuck out night and day to me that this boy was standing in the corner, just observing. So yeah, I'm like, it's as if my back's to the roof now, and it's tall ceilings. It's like maybe 12, 20 foot in there. I don't know how big they were, but I was high up. And I'm looking down over this table from above and I'm seeing everyone talking and communicating, and then I go through the roof. So I just start floating through the roof. Now this is my soul. So I've now left the body of that avatar and I'm back in just my soul and his energy. So when people talk about astral projection, this is what they do. They take their soul and that part of them, and they're able to leave their body and they're able to move it around and go wherever you like. It's the same thing that was happening here in that sense. So I take my soul, take it out of the body, and I went up. And I'd done this so I could observe what was happening outside. Now the reason that I could do this is because in that moment and in that lifetime, human beings were at such a state of such high vibration where we were able to tap into all our psychic abilities and all the stuff that we're truly able to do. That being one of them, astral projection freely and travel throughout the universe freely, whenever we want. So I went up and I'm viewing this and I'm looking around and there's just people fighting everywhere, beings of all shapes and sizes. I can't describe to you what these things look like. I really can't, because most of it I feel it as energy rather than visual when it comes to other beings. And my mind will fill in the blanks. So if it puts like a negative energy, it'll sometimes fill in the blanks around that negative energy. But they were just nasty beings, is the best way to put it. And we knew that at some point in time they were going to win this battle, but they were never going to win the war. It was impossible. That being the whole incident. So that was the first past life I ever did, which was unbelievably intense. And I didn't know what to expect going into it, and I just experienced all these things that are now telling me that I lived a life 5,000 years ago where we planned a massive plan to try and save humanity. And that's pretty big. And I still have, like, at times I still have question, like, I still struggle coming to grip, like, alright, was that 100% raised? But when I actually really sit and I go, alright, let's just evaluate that experience for what it was, I can't deny that experience felt more real, if not as real as me living my life. And I believe fully, like I said, it's a belief. I believe fully that 100% happened to me, and I've experienced that, I went through that. And mainly because of how it made me feel. Like, the visual side of it is one thing, and seeing all these things is one thing. But having the feeling of my arm being missing and not actually being able to feel my arm, and having the feeling of emotion when I'm speaking to someone in a past life, or the fear of dying, these are all things that I feel. That's when it becomes really real, for me anyway. Moving on from that life anyway, which is probably one of the more interesting ones, and the ones with the most detail I've had, that was one of the longer ones. That was probably, going through that process the first time was probably about 25-30 minutes to go through that entire process and experience it, going back and forth with questions. Another one I had was I lived life as a tree. I was a massive oak tree. Now, the purpose of me being shown that, I'll go back first before I get into that. The purpose of me being shown that life, the first one, of me in Egypt and creating this plan, the purpose of that was so I could remember who my soul is and what my soul is here to do. Now, I don't have to do it. I don't have to follow through with it. But if I want to do what makes me happy and I'm present enough, then I'm going to follow it anyway. And that is exactly what I feel like I'm doing. So that was just to remind me of who my soul truly is. The second one of me being a tree was to remind me the importance of presence and the importance of patience. Because what does a tree not get to do? It doesn't get to move. It's in the same place every day for its entire life. And it has the same 360-degree perspective every day for its entire life. Now, trees can grow to be very old. Now, I say very old is only what we perceive as old. What we as humans as people old. Anything, I think, above 80, we would say is pretty old, 80 years. But for a tree, 80 years really isn't much. They can live to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old, given the right conditions and the right circumstances. So I was a massive tree. Now, I don't know exactly how long I'd been there, but I would guess at least 200 years that tree had been there. I don't know. I might be wrong with that, but that's what I would guess. It was a big tree, and I got shown that life to purely emphasize the importance and the beauty of presence and patience. Patience is something that people have so little of. Everyone's always in a rush. Everyone's always like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And patience is a real gift and a real skill. If you can learn to be patient and teach yourself to be patient, you will really excel in a lot of areas of life, because you'll give yourself the chance to slow down and evaluate and be like, okay, I'm in no rush to do this here. It'll also mean that you're probably a little bit more determined, not determined, but you're a little bit more resilient if you have patience. I feel like they go kind of hand in hand. And the reason for that is if you're patient, then you're not expecting something to happen straight away. So you're not going to give up on it straight away, which is resilience. The art of not giving. But the presence was the main thing, and the beauty of being present, because me experiencing life as a tree and looking around it and seeing everything and feeling the wind, there was not a bad day, because I was purely present. Like, I didn't have a mind that I could go and wander off into. I was just taking in the absolute beauty that is the world around me. And it gave me a real appreciation for something that I'd been lacking at that point in my life, which was just that, taking in what is around me in that moment. rather than living in my head, because for a good period of time, that's where I was. I was denying the flesh, I guess you could say, and living from the head. I've also had past lives, like my life before this one. I was in the CIA. Now that was an interesting one. Now I don't know, it's an interesting one because there'll be people who still know the person that I was, if that makes sense. Now I don't know if it's the same universe, and it's 100% I'm certain it's a different timeline now. But yeah, I was in the CIA and I got put through an MK Ultra program, and I was used as a weapon. Now I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with that because that's not something that I really want to or need to go into detail about, but all these lives have several things in common, and these experiences for me, they all hold an amount of emotion that I can't describe. Like I really can't put into words just how emotionally powerful these experiences are. And coming out of them, the amount of wisdom that I feel like I gained from them, and understanding about my present life, which is the real importance for me. Now, even if all these things are placebo, let's throw that idea out there, and that all these experiences that I've had are my mind just making up, even if that is the case, I've still benefited from these experiences so profoundly and so greatly, and it's brought me to the understanding of the universe today, and understanding of we need to come back to love. So do I care if these experiences are truly, truly true? No, I don't. I really don't, because it's benefited me so profoundly in such a positive way that I do not care if it's taken as something that is a placebo or not. No, I don't think it is, and I really don't, and I believe it's not. However, for argument's sake, if it is, for the people that are really skeptical, if it is, then it makes no difference, because it still has a positive, profound effect on me. So in that sense, that's all that matters. But I do fully believe with every single fibre of my being that these experiences were real, and I truly have experienced these based off of how I felt, what I seen, and now even just talking about it, the feeling that come back to me when I speak about these events. So yeah, that's just a handful of my experiences. Now I've had experiences where I wasn't human, I wasn't on Earth as well. I've had lives where I've been on different planets, and I've experienced different forms. So rather than a physical form, it's been an energetic form, and I can also go in and tap into past lives whenever I want now, which is a real gift. I do that through meditation, and anyone can do this as well if they spend the time to do it. It's like a muscle, you know. It's like just about anyone can go out. Anyone's body is capable, just about. I mean, there's exceptions, but for this example, we'll say anyone's body can go out and they can lift up 120 kilograms. Now, can you go into the gym the first day and lift up 120 kilograms? No, you cannot. Not everyone, some people can. But not everyone can. So what do you have to do? Well, if your goal is to purely be able to lift up that 120 kilograms and squat it, what do you have to do? You have to consistently go to the gym and work on your muscle groups to be able to do that. It's the same thing with meditation. So if I want to go and I want to experience past lives or astral project, what do I have to do? I have to work on those specific areas, and I have to be consistent with it. So consistent meditation has allowed me to get to a point where I'm able to go and travel throughout the universe and go back to past lives and experience them. And in some cases, I've had glimpses of lives or moments to come within this life. Now, do I hold any power to them? Absolutely not. I know that can all change in a split, and especially something that is yet to happen. I know that my timeline can shift, or I can shift into a different path and not have these experiences. So, like I said, I don't hold much towards future events. It's the ones that I've experienced that I feel are different. But yet, when I see these future events, I experience them the exact same way, and I feel the exact same way. Yeah. So, as I was saying, I don't hold a whole lot towards future events when I see them, and when I see them laid out. But they do cause the same feeling of emotion, and the intensity of emotion is still the same, which is the most interesting part for me. Now, let me double check I've covered everything towards past life. Experiences of past life, we've went through there. We've touched on a wee bit time itself, and if it's past or parallel. We've talked about quantum healing, hypnosis therapy. Akashic records, that's one of the other things I wanted to pop in, because I feel like it kind of ties in quite well with this. And it's an interesting talking point. Now, I'm going to take a wild guess and say most people don't know what Akashic records are. So, Akashic records, everyone has their own Akashic records. There's many different names, but for the sake of this, I'm going to stick with Akashic records. But there is a lot of different names that it goes by. But I think the most recognised one is probably Akashic. Now, the best way to describe this and put this into words, it's like every single event and experience your soul has ever had. I mean every single one. To like whatever you just did 5 minutes ago, to what like the first word you said, to like the first time you ever kissed someone, to anything. Through all your lives, there's a record of it all. If anyone's into like the NFT stuff, now NFTs work off a thing called a blockchain. A blockchain is just a massive log of everything that has ever happened, and every transaction that's ever made, and everything that's ever happened. That's pretty much what Akashic Records is. Just a massive log of everything that has ever happened to you. And you have access to these at all times. Now again, it's the same thing, it's through meditation. And it's a muscle, so you have to build this up. And for most people, they cannot just hop straight in and like on the first time meditating and go about their Akashic records. You have record keepers as well, who will only allow people in that either you allow. So you can go for an Akashic record reading. You have to give permission for someone else to be able to access your records. For me, when I go and go into my Akashic records, or someone else does, it's like a big pyramid I'm in, of like just white light inside it. And I don't see it as bookshelves, but I see it as like digital files, I guess is the best way to put it. So like it's like digital shelves, like the shelves are not real, you can walk straight through them. But there's thousands and thousands of these files. And when you press it, or if I was to go up, the way I like visually see it, most people I've spoke to that they go and do Akashic record stuff, they do it all slightly differently, and they see it slightly differently, and their experiences of surrounding it are slightly different. But when I go in, I see it as like these big holographic files, and if I want to go and find one, I go, alright, take me to the one that's most relevant for me in this moment. And I'll be like drawn towards a certain direction, I'll walk towards it, I'll see the file, and I'll pick it out, I'll point on it, and it'll go full screen, like you're clicking full screen on YouTube, and I'll just then experience whatever that record has to show me. Akashic records are something that a lot of people speak about it. A lot of people do as well. A lot of people do Akashic record readings. The difference is when you're doing it for someone else, it's not your, like, it really isn't your business, and they're giving you the full trust and permission to go in. Now their higher self is going to come in and not delegate, supervise is the word I'm looking for. He's going to come in and supervise the experience and make sure that only what they truly need is going to be shown to them. But yeah, there's a woman called Amy that I know, and she's an absolute amazing woman. And she does it, but she sees it like clouds, and like a bit like the cloud, and how all the information is within the cloud, and then she breaks it down into like water droplets, and then each water droplet has its own story, which makes sense because water holds memory a bit like that as well. So there's a lot of differences. I'm gonna just come back to my book here and make sure that we went over how it can help with healing. Also, if there's any questions at all about anything that I say throughout this podcast, in any episode at all, feel free to either drop a comment and ask it on there, or if you want and you have me, drop me a message on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is that you were able to get in contact with me on, and I'll try my best. Also, if you want to come on the podcast, it's something you want to maybe ask, talk about, or there's something you're interested in as well, please just ask. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with absolutely anyone about anything. And if you have something really interesting that you'd like to share, you've had an experience that you'd like to share, then I'll have to come on and you can tell your story as much as you like. And I'll pick your brain about it. I'll pick your soul about it, and see what they have to say to it as well. As well as if anyone is interested in healings, quantum entanglement healings are absolutely free, always will be. If you're interested in one of them, again, also drop me a message and let me know. And if you are interested in Rahini Celestial Healing, I've not set a price yet, but it won't be more than £30. I'm thinking 25 is a fairly reasonable amount for the kind of time frame. It'll be about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. So yeah, I'm thinking about 25, but I don't know. I've not set a price yet. I'm more than happy to move if money's an issue for you, but you really want to do it, and I'm more than happy to play about with it. I don't mind. So yeah, if anyone's interested in any of those things at all, please just let me know. I'm more than happy to just tell you that, and we can sort of facilitate that, and we can sort something out sooner rather than later for yourself and for me as well. I believe that is all that I wanted to cover in today's episode. I'm just gonna... Oh, there's one more point. Everything that I've spoke about all comes back to one thing. It comes back to the fact that everything is energy, which is why you're allowed to go, which is why I'm able to go and jump through and experience all these things, because all I'm doing is moving about energy, and I'm going to a different point, in a point of space and time where that energy exists, and I'm tapping into that energy signature and the emotions and experiences and events behind that energy signature. So everything that I'm speaking about really all comes back to one very simple thing: is energy. We are made of energy. Everything around us is made of energy. That is a scientific fact. Like, science will tell you that as well. But what science won't tell you is how powerful and how profound energy is, and what energy holds. And that energy vibrates at certain frequencies and vibrations. But yeah, thank you all very, very much for joining me again for my newest episode of the Divine Love Podcast, and I will see you all next Sunday, hopefully next time with a guest that I can bounce some conversation off of a bit more. And again, like I said, if anyone wants to come on, anyone has anything they want to ask me, or they're interested in healings, then please don't hesitate to ask. much love to all, and have a lovely week. Thank you.